We're reading this morning from chapter 17 of the third canto, and we're beginning with text 20. Okay? That's okay. So we're reading about the first birth taken by Jai and Vijay, Hiranyaksha and Kashipu. So here is the story of Hiranyaksha. Start. Here, would you like to start? And John, start.
His younger brother Hiranyaksha was always ready to satisfy his elder brother by his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with a fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakashipu.
Hiranyaksha's temper was difficult to control. He had anklets of gold tinkling about his feet. He was adorned with a gigantic garland, and he rested his huge mace on one of his shoulders.
His mental and bodily strength, as well as the boon conferred upon him, had made him proud. He feared death at the hands of no one, and there was no checking him. The gods, therefore, were seized with fear at his very sight, and they hid themselves even as snakes hide themselves for fear of Garuda.
On not finding Indra and the other demigods who had previously been intoxicated with power, the chief of the Daityas, seeing that they had all vanished before his might, roared loudly.
After returning from the heavenly kingdom, the mighty demon, who was like an elephant in wrath, for the sake of sports, dived into the deep ocean, which was roaring terribly.
On his entering the ocean, the aquatic animals who formed the host of Varuna were stricken with fear and ran far away. Thus, Hiranyakasha showed his splendor without dealing a blow.
Moving about in the ocean for many, many years, the mighty Hiranyaksha smote the gigantic wind-tossed waves again and again with his iron mace and reached Vibhavari, the capital of Varuna.
Vibhavari is the home of Varuna, lord of the aquatic creatures and the guardian of the lower regions of the universe, where the demons generally reside. There, Hiranyaksha fell at Varuna's feet like a low-born man, and to make fun of him, he said with a smile, "Give me battle, O Supreme Lord."
You are the guardian of the entire sphere and ruler of the wide fame. Having crushed the might of arrogant and conceited warriors and having conquered all the Daityas and Danavas in the world, you once performed the Rajasuya sacrifice to the Lord.
Thus, mocked by an enemy whose vanity knew no bounds, the worshipful lord of the waters waxed angry, but by dint of his reason he managed to curb the anger that had sprung up in him, and he replied, "O dear one, we have now desisted from warfare, having grown too old for combat."
You're so skilled in war that I do not see anyone else but the most ancient person, Lord Vishnu, who can give satisfaction in battle to you. Therefore, O chief of the Asuras, approach him, whom even heroes like you mention with praise.
Varuna continued, "On reaching him, you will be rid of your pride at once, and will lie down on the field of battle surrounded by dogs for eternal sleep. It is in order to exterminate wicked fellows like you, and to show his grace to the virtuous, that he assumes his various incarnations like Bara." Okay, that text 20. Yeah. Hiranyaksho nujastasya priya pratikrit anvaham dapanir divam yato yuksur brigayan ranam Hiranyaksho nujastasya priya pratikrit anvaham Gadapanir divam yato Yuyutsur mrigayandanam Anyone else? Anyone know what Yutsu means? Fighting. Fighting. Yeah. Okay, let's read the synonyms together, please. Hiranyaksha, Anuja, younger brother. Tasya is Kriya, beloved. Kriti, Krit, ready to please. Anu, every day. Gada, money, the club in his hand. Yavam, to the higher planets. Yata, travel. Yuyusa, desirous to fight. Yan, seeking. Pranam, combat. Translation, purport by Srila Prabhupada. The other please. His younger brother, Hiraj, was always ready to satisfy his elder brothers on his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with a fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakashipu. Purport. The demonic spirit is to train all family members to exploit the resources of this universe for personal sense gratification, whereas the godly spirit is to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Hiranyakashipu was himself very powerful, and he made his younger brother Hiranyaksha powerful to assist him in fighting with everyone and lording it over material nature as long as possible. If possible, he wanted to rule the universe eternally. These are demonstrations of the spirit of the demonic living entity. Hey, Krishna. Here's Hiranyaksha, this newly minted demon, approaching the venerable Varuna, this elder god of the waters. And they have this very interesting conversation. Yeah, he just wants to fight. I want to ask, Nate, if you could look up 16:13 from Bhagavad Gita. I'll put that on the screen in a minute. Yeah, so first thing he wants to do is find somebody worthy of fighting. And he is going around showing off his strength. He's scaring the demigods. He's scaring all the aquatics. And there's huge aquatics in the ocean that are, as it said here, the host of Varuna. That means all the followers of Varuna, the god of the ocean, including like gigantic fish and whales. They're all frightened of this demon. So he goes to the heavenly planets, flies through space there, goes into the bottom of the ocean, just got this ability to go anywhere and everywhere and lord it over. He's just enjoying it to the max. So when he comes to Varuna, he's kind of like trying to bully him, provoke him into a fight. Oh, you've done such wonderful battles. You're such a powerful warrior. I need somebody worthy of my fighting with. You please fight me. So Varuna he says, I'm too old. But you will fight with Vishnu. Vishnu will give you a good fight, and that will allow you to be eaten by dogs on the battlefield. So although Varuna did not agree to fight him, he was not at all intimidated by him with his speech. So this is the foreshadowing of the appearance of Lord Varaha, which we'll read about in the next chapters. In the Gita, Krishna explains that whenever there is a need, he comes. Whenever the demoniac forces are prominent, he comes. Whenever the pious, the devotees are in trouble, he comes. he has our back. And yet we have sometimes a hard time feeling that confident, like Varuna. Varuna was very confident. He didn't take any, he had no qualms in messing with him, dissing him, in spite of being threatened by him. So fighting is not always the strongest response. This is the point. That if one is in Krishna consciousness, just knowing that Krishna has our back is sufficient. Then whatever may happen will happen. There's many examples of this. Prahlad Maharaj, for example, was threatened by his father, Hiranyakashipu, who was so powerful. And he was just never afraid. He said, whatever is going to happen to me is going to happen by Krishna's arrangement. So I don't have anything to fear. Hiranyaksha was very strong, but who was actually stronger? The bully or the person who's not intimidated by the bully? So we have the tendency to think whoever is but might makes right. Whoever's the strongest, or if you can't fight the person, then you're intimidated by them. But it is possible to be both peaceful and not intimidated if we are depending on Krishna. That's the beautiful thing about Krishna consciousness. So there's some examples of this same mentality. I'd like to read about it first, though, from the Gita. Krishna devotes a whole chapter to this subject of demoniac nature. It says divine and demoniac, but really divine is just a little bit. Most of it's the demoniac nature. So here's the verse. Let's go back to the Sanskrit. I just want to. We can. Next one. Yeah. The last two lines is we can chant a few rounds of this every day. Ishwaraham aham bodhi siddhoham balavansi. Ishwara means what? I'm the controller. Ishwaraham, I'm the controller. Aham bhogi. What is a bhogi? Enjoyer. Siddhoham. I'm perfect. Balavan. Sukhi. And so chant a few rounds of this, and then Ishwaraham aham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi. Rhymes and everything. What's that? I'm perfect. Perfect. Yes, perfect. Siddhoham balavan sukhi. So let's read the whole translation. The demoniac person thinks, together, yeah, sure. So much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I kill him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the religious man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by my ignorance. This last part is very interesting, isn't it? So after all the self-aggrandizement, so I shall give some charity. I shall give some charity, perform some sacrifices. This shows how a demoniac mentality can also be incorporated in religion. I'm going to be so charitable, and I'm going to be so, so pious to do sacrifices. This is in the later chapter of the Gita. Krishna describes that in the mode of ignorance, one cannot discriminate religion from irreligion. So, for example, we see many politicians posit themselves in this country to be very pious, to be very religious, even though their character is very obviously poor. One famous politician who claimed to be a great follower of the Bible was asked, "What is your favorite verse in the Bible?" He said, "Oh, that's something very personal." He couldn't actually quote one. But being a good politician, he didn't admit that. So there was once another very powerful demon named Jarasandha, a very interesting personality because he, after Krishna went to Mathura from Vrindavan, Krishna was there Jarasandha decided he should attack. The reason was because Krishna had killed Kamsa, the very wicked king of Mathura, who was imprisoning his parents. So Krishna, as a young boy, came and killed Kamsa, much to everyone's surprise. And Kamsa was married to the two daughters of Jarasandha. So after this happened, Jarasandha said, I'm going to conquer Mathura. And he attacked. So Krishna's whole purpose in coming to this world was what? To protect the devotees, annihilate the miscreants, but specifically when Bhumi went to the shore of the ocean of no. What? Bhumi or Earth was like overburdened with the weight of all the military buildup. That was burdened over, walking around, stomping around. So she asked for help, and Lord Vishnu said, don't worry, Krishna will come and he'll alleviate this problem for you. So Jarasandha attacked Mathura with a huge army, and Krishna came out with just a few men and very quickly dispatched the entire army. And they captured Jarasandha, but Krishna said, no, let him go. So Jarasandha went back to his kingdom, and his minister said, it's just a bad luck. The wind was blowing in the wrong direction today. Try again. So he got another army, attacked again. Same thing happened. The whole army was wiped out, but Jarasandha was released and returned. And so 17 times he attacked. And this way, Krishna was very efficiently dealing with reducing the heavy military buildup with the help of Jarasandha. He didn't want to kill Jarasandha because he was so helpful in his pursuit. So the 17th time he attacked, another demon by the name Kalayavana attacked from the opposite direction. So Krishna, seeing the situation, came out of the fort and started running to get these demoniac armies away from his friends and relatives in Mathura. So Kalayavana ran after him. Krishna is known as Ranchor. Ranchor means one who ran from the battle. So in this case, he ran away to distract them, to divert them. What's that? Ran. That's good to remember. Ranchor ran away. So when he later returned, having dispatched Kalyavana, he decided to move his entire family to a more safe place, Dwarka. So mystically, he made that happen overnight. They went to sleep in Mathura. They woke up at Dwarka. It's a very opulent kingdom, which is an island surrounded by the sea. So they were safe there. He got tired of all of this. So later, Jarasandha continued his demonic activities, and he had kidnapped thousands of kings from various small kingdoms and imprisoned them just for his own purposes of lording it over their lands. So in the development of his kingdom, Maharaj Yudhishthira decided to perform what's called the Rajasuya sacrifice. This is a sacrifice where one king will demonstrate supremacy over all other kings. So the only very powerful king could execute this particular service, the sacrifice. So in order to do that, the king would have to win tribute from all the other kings of the world. So as he was proposing this to Krishna, I want to perform this Rajasuya, a messenger arrived in the court and said, Jarasandha has imprisoned all these kings and they're begging you, please come and help them. So Uddhava, Krishna's very wise counselor, said, why don't you first take care of Jarasandha, because he won't give you tribute for the sacrifice anyway, and then you can release all these other kings. So they agreed that would be their approach. So Jarasandha, although very demoniac, was very competitive in the matter of charity. He wanted to be the #1 charitable giver. And so Krishna and Arjuna and Bhima was the big powerful brother, they all dressed up as Brahmins. Because in those days, priests or Brahmins were automatically given respect, and they were automatically welcomed and fed and given charity. So they dressed up as Brahmins, came to Jarasandha and said, "We are humble Brahmins. We would like some charity from you." So Jarasandha looked at them and they thought, these guys look familiar. And they've got these big muscles. They don't really appear to be Brahmins who are usually skinny. And so nonetheless, he said, "All right, yes, I'll give you any charity you want. Even if you ask for my head, I'll give it to you. What do you want?" So then Krishna said, all we would like is an opportunity to fight with you. And then they removed their disguises. And Jarasandha said, "Oh, now I know who you are. Krishna, I fought with you already so many times, and last time you ran away. I'm not going to bother fighting with you. And Arjuna, you're much too young to fight with me. But Bhima, I think you'll do as an opponent. So yes, and you're such fools. You could have had my head. You could have had my whole kingdom. But instead you asked for a fight. So I'll give you a fight." So this was the demoniac mentality of Jarasandha. So they fought, Bhima and Jarasandha, and they're very equally matched. Neither could get the upper hand for 18 days. And finally, Krishna, seeing the situation, he caught Bhima's eye and took a little supple branch from a tree and split it in half. Because Krishna knew Jarasandha's past. See, Jarasandha means one who was joined by Jara, was brought together. Sandha, like Sandha means the junction, like we have Sandhya Arti in the evening. That means the junction between day and night, evening Arti. So Sandhya, Jarasandha, he happened to have been born from a very powerful mother and father, but he was born, he was stillborn, and body was in two pieces. So they just discarded this body out in the woods of this dead child. So Jara, the witch Jara means old age, and Jara, the witch, found these two, and by her mystic power put them together, and then raised this powerful young boy as her demoniac son. So this was the history of Jarasandha, and Krishna knew this. So when he gave Bhima this little hint with the tree branch, Bhima knocked Jarasandha down, stood on one leg, and pulled up the other leg. And pulled him right in half again. So in this way, Jarasandha was finally defeated, the kings were released, and truth and justice prevailed. This is the same mentality, though, that Jarasandha, I want to fight. Oh, you want to fight? No problem, I won't fight you. The mentality is there. I can defeat anybody. I can defeat anybody. This is Hiranyaksha's mentality, Jarasandha's mentality. Another demon described in the 10th canto was named Banasura. So Banasura was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. Banasura had a very powerful body with multiple arms, very strong arms. So one day, just in the same way Hiranyaksha came to Varuna, Banasura came to his deity, Lord Shiva, and he said very humbly, I'm really looking for somebody to fight with. I can't find anybody who's competent to fight with me. I was going to fight these huge elephants who rule the four directions, but they saw me coming, and they saw that on the way, just for exercise, I was pounding mountains into dust with my arms. And when they saw that, they all ran in the four directions, so they wouldn't fight. I can't find anyone to fight with. Could you help me, my dear Lord Shiva? What he was really implying was he wanted to fight with Shiva to prove his superiority. So Shiva was disgusted by this very arrogant disciple, and he said, "You'll find somebody to fight with, and when you do, your pride will be humbled." He knew that Vishnu would eventually fight with him. So this is the same kind of exchange that Varuna and Hiranyaksha had, isn't it? This puffed up, powerful person coming and praying and asking for a fight. These days, we have the demoniac mentality evident all around us. That is competitive kind of mood. like for example, sports teams. Sports teams. People really identify with their sports teams, right? It's very competitive. If our team wins, yeah, we're great, and you suck. You know, that's what everybody seeks. Yes, we want to make everybody look bad, and our team be the best. That's the kind of Kali Yuga machoism that is expressed in such an inane way. My friend Brahmatirtha Prabhu was telling me about a memorial service he attended for a local gentleman who died very untimely, young man in his 40s, family man, had some sort of a hemorrhage, cerebral hemorrhage, and died abruptly. Very tragic death. So there was a big ceremony, a memorial ceremony, and many people came, and they were eulogizing the departed. So he said, person after person, everyone who came up said more or less the same thing. What a great fan of the Gators he was. That was all they could appreciate about this person. So people become so absorbed in their sports teams. This is an example of that same demonic mentality, wanting to lord it over, wanting to be number one, wanting to be able to say, I'm the best. Balamam Sam Sadhim Sukhi. I'm perfect, powerful, and happy. Individually, we express this kind of thing in relationships. Sometimes if somebody says something that we take the wrong way or we don't like to hear, then we become very competitive. Then we want to put them down. This is the demoniac side coming out on a very small scale. Men have this problem more than women, although women also have this problem. But women have more of an ability to work as a unit. You know, there's empathy natural to women for childbearing purposes, you know, that men lack. Men have to develop. You can see it in a Sunday in Alachua when there's kirtan and the devotees are all dancing at the Sunday feast. All the women come together and perform these beautiful opening and closing lotus, very graceful, everybody's cooperating. And on the men's side, there's only two kinds of dancing. Either it's a jumping contest or it's a circle. And they can do the circle. Why? Because everyone thinks I'm leading. So the idea of competitiveness is endemic, it's natural to men because men are geared biologically to reproduce and to further their particular strain of DNA. And so there's a natural competition. So the idea of spiritual life is to rise above these very base and inane impulses that we all feel and grapple with. Male or female, the same kind of inclination is there to try to enjoy the material world. What is that? What are the four kinds of people who never surrender to Krishna? From the Bhagavad Gita. Remember any of them? Okay, the lowest class. Okay. First one. Let's say them in order. Yes. Namam Duskritino Buddha. Duskritino. Duskritino means those who are enamored by materialism. Okay. So first is a mudha. What is a mudha? Mudha is a person who, like a Gator fan, or a person who just, Joe Six-Pack, just work hard, give me some beer, give me a paycheck, and I'm happy. So, and I'll work my whole life with no purpose, just for the sake of just getting a little bit of maintenance. Namam Duskritino Mudha, Prapadyante, Naradama, the lowest of men, those who are not just stupid, but very envious, very competitive, like the Wolf of Wall Street kind of person, just get money at any cost, whatever pain it may cause other people, doesn't matter. Naradama. Then Maya Yaprita Jnana, which means those whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. And so this is a very subtle category because people in this category are very intelligent, very intelligent. Maya Prityagyana. Maya, though, has stolen away their intelligence. It is all dedicated in the wrong direction. Priyananda Maharaj gave a very nice class the other day explaining how to claim that there is no God is a religion. You say there's no God, that's religion. Why? Because it's an absolute statement. To say, I don't know if God exists or not, well, that's at least an honest statement. Then there's room for research or further knowledge. But to make a bald claim, God, there is no God. Anyone ever heard of Christopher Hitchens, famous atheist? Yeah, so the Maya Prityagyana is embodying this kind of person. They say, look, we can't see any evidence of God. You would think if there was an all-powerful being, he'd give us some evidence of his existence. He would come and like lay it on the line. Here I am. So that I could do him the big favor of believing in him. But because he doesn't do that, there can't be a God. And if unless he does that, I'm not believing. So this is unscientific, isn't it? If you can't prove one way or the other, to make a declarative statement is again, it's just fanatic religion. On the other hand, to discard scientific evidence because it doesn't comport with your religious belief, this is another kind of Maya Prityagyana. For example, some very fanatic people say that, okay, God created the heavens and earth in 7 days. And then going by the lineage of Jesus based on the Bible, this happened about 4,000 years ago. Something like that, right? So therefore, this is actually the truth. Never mind the fossil record, never mind the geological record, never mind all of the evidence to the contrary that the earth is billions of years old. The Bible says it's 4,000 years old, and it's 4,000 years old. So this, again, is Maya Prityagyana. And scientists with that bent will also look for evidence to try to support their theses. So these are examples of how religion pollutes science. Science in and of itself is fine. It's great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the misplaced belief that science will solve everything. This is yet another Maya Prityagyana. It's called scientism, right? Scientism is the faith that ultimately everything can be ascertained. The ultimate truth of reality can be ascertained by scientific analysis. So all of these are examples of Maya Prityagyana, intelligence stolen by illusion, all coming to a conclusion that there is no need to prapadyante, to approach God in a humble mood. Yeah, sometimes people have this idea that I really want to find out God so then I can decide about my relationship with him. And this is, again, exemplary of the demoniac mentality. Why? Because I'm perfect, I'm powerful, I'm happy. I don't need anything from God, but I'd maybe like to find out about him. And this begs the question about our qualification to approach such a personality, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada gives this example. If you want to approach the minister, you have to make an appointment. You have to go through somebody. You have to meet on their terms. Not that you're going to walk in and just say, here I am. Actually, did you know before Abraham Lincoln, the White House was open to any citizen who wanted to walk in the door and see the president? Lincoln was the first one to say, okay, we need a little buffer here. And certainly today, you want to see the president, and so many elaborate arrangements would be made. First of all, they would ask, what is your qualification? What is your excuse? What is your reason? And unless you have a very important reason, you won't get in. But we think about approaching God who's so much greater than any minister or president. Just say, well, here I am, let me in. Show yourself to me. Like without any trace of humility, without any respect. I know that I'm very insignificant and you're very great, but Jagannatha Swami Nayana Padagami Bhavats may please be visible before me. This is, again, the evidence of the demoniac mentality, how it affects us. So arrogant. So God should reveal himself to me. And then finally, the last type of those who don't surrender is known as the Asura. Hare Krishna. Anytime. Most patient deities in ISKCON. The Asura just is outright atheist. God doesn't exist. So these kind of people are so infected by the demoniac qualities that they cannot ever approach God. And this is very sad because the consequence of that is what? Birth after birth, staying in this world, having no purpose in life. So that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. It gives us a purpose. Our purpose is to come closer to Krishna. Our purpose is to surrender to Krishna. Our purpose is to understand our relationship with God. And this is actually fulfilling to the human heart and spirit. Anything short of that leaves this great void. Then when that void is there, the demoniac, of course, tendencies become very prominent. Because we got to enjoy something. Can't get any pleasure from understanding God, so let me just lord it over this world as long as I can. Like the bumper sticker, whoever dies with the most toys wins. So, all right, we're going to have a picture this morning. We'll end class a little bit early to allow for some questions. Chris, kindly taking this picture. Do you want to take some time to set up? Okay, and do you have any instructions for us when we are finished with this profound discourse? Okay, we have some Bhima-like volunteers to carry Srila Prabhupada. Nathan, okay, so 3 or 4 strong men. We're going to carry the top seat only, correct? Okay, thank you. All right, any comments or questions on this demoniac class? Yes.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Would it be correct in regards to these 4 different natures that never surrender or mentalities? Would it be correct to say that the last one, the asuras, are not just atheists, but they're anti-theists? They're against God, and the one that are whose knowledge was stolen by illusion, they will be like confused and atheistic. Would be correct that there'll be a difference there.
Good example, yeah. Anti-theists. Yeah. Atheists, I don't believe in God, and the anti-theists, I definitely want to destroy any notion of God. Good, yeah, that's a good description. Yeah, like militant atheists. They're a story about militant universal Unitarians. The Unitarian Church is an interesting church that does not necessarily, you don't have to believe in God to be a member. It's a sort of a church of the human spirit. So they say the militant Unitarians they'll burn question marks on people's lawns. Anyway, no joke. People like I mentioned that one prominent atheist are very militant about their putting down of God. But even more so, these demons like Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, they know the principles of religion. They know that Vishnu is God, but they want to prove themselves better. So competitive. God's competitors. You ever see that video, Tamal Krishna Maharaj? God's competitors. It's a, I think you can see it on YouTube. Saw that? No, okay. Anyway, all the arguments you need are in that video. Okay, thank you. You have a question for me? Comment?
To what you were saying about demons confronting God. Shtan Chandracharan, not the Indian one, but one from Russia. He says the scientists, when they dig long and hard, and eventually they discover there is God. Like, Einstein, he came to the conclusion there is. But the problem is, he said, how scientists become demons is they discover God and they start challenging him. Like, just can't accept it. He said that's how scientists become demons eventually.
Just fighting. Yeah, we sometimes criticize science, but that's mistaken. Science is science. It's neutral, and it can be used in Krishna service. But when religion infiltrates science, then it becomes unscientific. Either way, either too much religion or the religion of atheism. Okay, thank you. Other HG approval, and then. Go ahead, Kartikeya, please.
Looking on this demoniac nature that comes out of us, I usually see it within myself when I'm hurt. Often, like sometimes it depends. Sometimes I'll just kind of walk away or shut down, run away or freeze or fight. And then that fighting propensity, there's that demoniac propensity. What do you recommend when that's coming up?
Right, the fight or flight reflex, right? Excuse me. So there are steps for negotiation that allow one to deal with threats without resorting to one of those two extremes, to either fight or to run away. And some of those techniques include, for example, mostly it's actually based on empathic listening, like dynamic listening. What is it that you really want? What is behind this aggressive behavior? You don't say those words, but you try to ascertain. I try to meet the person on the emotional level, which they are feeling. One technique is to say, I'm sorry, you want to fight me? Like showing a little bit of respect for the person rather than a challenge. Because that's what a bully wants, isn't it? A bully wants to invoke a fight. So turning it back, getting the person to talk, asking questions that will elicit a reply, trying to genuinely understand where the other person is coming from, what is causing the hostility. And that takes a lot of intelligence. It's neither fighting nor fleeing, but it is seeking to understand. So that's the first general response that is an alternative to those two extremes. When we're angry, we should know that that the modes are capturing us. If we're feeling angry, like there's no, okay, we're off our game. And it's hard. It's hard. Controlling anger is very difficult, but at least we should recognize it. When it pops up, it is going to help us. I hope that's somewhat helpful. Carmen, did you have a question? Or Tulasyananda? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for class, Prabhu. How do we remain inspired by devotees and avoid slipping into the demonic tendency of competing with other devotees? What's the mindset we should cultivate to achieve this?
Right. From Yeshua, okay. Well, the antithesis of competing is what? Cooperating or Serving. Yeah, to serve, to help the other person is the opposite of being competitive with that person and wanting to defeat them. So the service mentality, as we discussed last week, that's the Vaikuntha mentality. Looking for a way to serve the person. I always remember this one incident where Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj there was a devotee who was being very critical of him, and they asked me to mediate the dispute. And this devotee being very critical was just really over the top. And Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj responded in such an amazing way. He said, well then, what I've done that you won't like, before I ever do anything like that again, I will ask you first. And it was so disarming that the whole tension of the conflict just kind of evaporated. That's actual strength, isn't it? That's actual strength, not to respond passionately, but to respond in a service mood. In a sense, this is what Varuna did, isn't it? Varuna didn't, he wasn't intimidated, but at the same time, he just told him the truth. Yeah, you'll fight Vishnu and he's going to defeat you. So you want somebody good to fight, you'll get your wish fulfilled. So in this way, service is the antithesis. Service is the way to respond. How can I serve you? And at that, okay, we'll go out and get our picture taken. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Always to saintly devotees of the Lord who are in the service mood, not competitive.
Fortunate persons who develop faith in Maha Prasad, spiritual frequency of the Lord,
I was born nervous.
Application 44.
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada.